Hello, my name is Irma. I'm saying hello today from my home in Chicago, Illinois. It is July 29 or 30, and so we're in the middle of summer, and it's probably in high 80s outside and a very muggy, hot day. However, you can see me. I'm in my 7 chakra tude hoodie, all bundled up and warm, because I am not feeling my most well. And it's part of the reason why I decided that I wanted to go live. By the way, this is my first YouTube live, so hello to anybody who tunes in, and hello to all of my gatherers. If you end up watching this a little bit later, whether it's live or not, thank you for being here. I am recording a video because I'd like to talk about a 8-week program that I have put together, which is a immersion into the chakra energy centers. And that practice is all about really understanding the energy within our bodies so that every one of us can have the tools and the information that allows us to transform energy within our own selves for healing and growth purposes. I'm actually feeling even a little bit flushed from my state of being currently. And so I thought, well, I can't talk about a healing class when I'm not feeling well. And then I realized that's the whole point. The whole point of understanding healing and the capacity to heal our own selves is to be able to apply that and to be able to recognize when our bodies are not operating in their highest capacity, that we can tune into what it is that's happening within ourselves. And with that understanding, then tune into the remedies and tune into the own internal magic that is available within us and within our energy centers to transform and transmute the energy so that we can come back into our highest capacity. So to talk a little bit about the program, I'm going to touch on a few different subjects. And all of these subjects came up as a result of me just kind of noticing a depletion in my energy and just really taking a moment to look inward and to study and to become aware of what it is that I've been handling, what it is that I've been feeling that has led me to feeling depleted. And as I did that, there's two ways that information came to me, which was through my dreams and then also through the clairvoyant work that I do in seeing energy and reading energy through others. And what I saw from both of those realms, which are realms that are beyond our physical 3D world, and realms that have access to information that is of an elevated, bigger picture perspective, through my dreams and through my clairvoyant abilities, I was able to recognize that there was like a parasite kind of energy that I have been clearing through my body. And when I look around at the situation in our society currently, there is, as we know, so much fear that is breeding and brooding and just kind of continuing to expand in different forms. And as a result of that fear, it's also woken so many people up to stop and to take note and to notice what is happening in our society in the way that we're operating. And because so many people are waking up to a new form of consciousness and a new level of internal awareness, what I'm seeing is that these parasitic energies are agitated. So what is a parasite? A parasite in the shamanic world, which are practices which I study and also apply different medicine sources from shamanic practices. In the shamanic world, a parasite is essentially, it can be an energetic form that is like a narrative which feeds on beliefs, conditioning, and programming that is designed to separate one from their truest, highest self, and that intervenes with self-love and self-acceptance. And so this form of an energy breeds in conditions where it cannot be seen. So a parasitic energy looks for places where it cannot be seen. And as our society is rising in consciousness and so many truths, some very ugly truths are being revealed, the parasites are being seen. And so you can imagine once they're seen, they're kind of like cockroaches at night when you turn the light, and they all just kind of like swarm around, find somewhere else to go and somewhere else to hide. And what I've noticed is that parasites right now are traveling through energy cords. And so what is an energy cord? So an energy cord is an energetic connection that we can have to another person or persons or an entire collective kind of energy. And so it's essentially a cording of your energy to another or another's energy. And through that cord, the cords usually are created sometimes innocently and simply through relationships, such as a mother would have with her child. Even though the physical umbilical cord is cut, there's always an energetic cord there. And that's usually one of nurturing and love and protection. They're not always that way. Sometimes cords are because there is one of the two sources in the relationship that feeds off the other. And so then again, there again comes in this definition of a parasite, or like a vampire, if you will, which is looking for energy and looking for fuel outside of themselves. And so they latch on to another source. And so when that source gets disrupted and when it's been seen, then they quickly move on to find another source from which to draw their energy. Now, some of this I don't, I don't expect that it's going to be swallowed or understood very easily. I know I'm kind of tossing around some really deep terms, but they are all truths in the world of the non-physical. And I have been studying in the world of non-physical and practicing healing in this space for many, many years now, and have been born with this ability since I was a child, as we all are. However, finally, in my older years, I've been able to tune into and train and understand how energy appears in all of its different forms. And so this for me is simply just the truth. And I'm sharing this with you now because I'm seeing the way that energy is transforming and moving and kind of like finding its breeding pads, and also in some ways like transmuting. So let's see, what else can I tell you from here? The other thing I wanted to talk about is when we talk about everything being energy, there is an underlying foundational truth to that, which is that we all come from the same source, and that source is pure energy. It is energy in its purest. And because energy decided that it wanted to experience itself in many different forms and ways, the 3D world and the human species was created. And so in the human species and in the 3D world, we get to experience polarity, which is essentially a reflection of oneself in an opposite or differing form. And we're seeing so much heightened polarity right now as there is unrest in civil rights, as there is these horrible truths, again, that are being revealed, like with human trafficking and pedophilia and police brutality and racism, and the list can go on. And all of that is coming up more and more and more and more to the surface. So we're seeing the polarity, like the sides, that the separation that is happening between the sides that people are taking when we operate from our thinking mind and from our thinking head. And there's so much unrest because of that. And so in the spiritual community, you'll hear a lot about people talking about how we're all one source and we're all one love, and we should just like remember that. And if we remember we're one love, then we won't have any conflicts and we'll have peace. And that's probably not a complete truth in the reality of our 3D world, because we are here to have a diverse experience. However, I believe that a more realistic truth is that we have the capacity to live harmoniously. And so when this truth of us all coming to being one source and being an extension of another is discussed, I want to clarify that it does not mean that any one of us needs to compromise our own unique, diverse, beautiful individuality, because we are designed to be unique. And we are designed to manifest this portion of the source of energy in our own way through our own bodies, which is why we all experience and have completely different life experiences. No two people will ever have lived the same life experience. And it is not expected that we ever come to a place where we are an exact image of the other, because we are already that if you were to take down our form. So in our form, we are designed to express our individuality and the beauty of our individuality. And so when I hear terms about and have this discussion about source, I want to stress, and I want to also clarify that what that means is that in order for me to really be able to appreciate love in its fullness and in its completeness, is that I have to be in the most self-accepting, self-aware, purest form of my own unique self. And if you are in yours, then through not only our uniqueness, can I recognize that range of beauty and that range of love, but I could also recognize our source of connection. So it sounds a bit paradoxical, and I'm sure that it is, because there are so many things about our existence that are maybe not meant to be completely ever understood. We were given these brains that have like this analytical way of working, and there's so much programming to undo in order to kind of grasp some concepts that are way larger beyond our 3D bodies. But the paradox of this beautiful reality of unconditional love is that the more unique and beautiful that I can be within my own self, the more capacity that I have to not judge and to allow others to be that for themselves and with themselves. And then in our diverse range of beautiful uniqueness, we can recognize where we are also held together by our common love, our common source. So that's a little bit of background to say that, coming back to sort of like the parasites and how energy gets drained from your body, which creates discomfort in the body, is that not any one of us is here to be the breeding ground of anyone else's energy without our permission. And that is one of the key things that I do want to stress here, is that without our permission, which means that if we have not given our permission to allow another to take our energy from us, then we have all of the seniority and all of the rights, birthrights, all of the spirit rights to be able to reclaim your own power and to transmute and release the energy that is not yours from your body and from your system, so that you can operate in your most authentic self, free from the sources that are draining or the sources that are trying to imprint and implant information on how, or instructions or controls on how you should be living your life. Because any of the latter then is separate from your own individual sovereignty. I have this drumming in the background happening. I'm not sure how that's coming up on the recording, but I felt it was important to ground this conversation with a frequency that is connected to earth energy, because of the information and the words and what it is that I'm sharing today, which is pretty quite deep. I'm not sure that there's anything more around these topics that I want to dive more specifically into, except to give you a little bit more information about why this. Talk a little bit about how it is that I'm feeling, because everything that I teach and everything that I use as a practitioner and facilitator of healing and transformation are practices that and experiences that I also personally have gone through. And that's why I didn't shy away from making this video today at a time where I'm not in my most shiny, glowy, full capacity self, because part of my dream included this word that was immunitable. And I remember thinking in my dream that my dream was kind of saying, like, we are not all, even those of us who are practicing healers or are in the spirit or feel spiritually aligned or awakened or practitioners, we are not immune to all of the energy transformations that are happening around us. They're actually becoming, like I said, they're becoming more agitated, so they're becoming more prevalent, and they are also becoming more tangible, and more people are becoming aware of them. We're also starting to hear about extraterrestrial sightings and information, and that might instill some fear for some people. It doesn't need to be a fearful topic. Neither does this concept of parasitic energy, because as I said, it's energy that has always been around us. We're just starting to become a little bit more conscious to it, and it's becoming a little bit more clear to us. So I always believe that, like, with any kind of stage of healing, awareness is the first step. And we need to be able to be aware of what it is that we are handling in ourselves and in our environment in order to be able to make a conscious choice. So we bring out what's in our unconscious in the space where we operate on remote control, and we move into a space of awareness and bring light and information to what it is that we're handling. And then with that, we can become conscious of our choices and exercise free will and tap into our capacity to heal. If we never get to the point of awareness, which in and of itself is uncomfortable and it could be scary, if we never take that first step, we're never going to get to the point where we have had any kind of enlightenment or any kind of new insights or any kind of growth. So it's a necessary step. And just know that there are ways to move through this without denying it or resisting it or completely zoning out to it with medication or other forms, or alcohol or drugs that just completely can shut us down as opposed to wake us up. So this is kind of like, I'm coming back to this what I was noticing within myself was, I have actually, and this immunitability, is that even in the spiritual community, what I've seen through my readings is this message that we are not immune, that we, as enlightened as we might want to believe that we are, we are not immune from continuing to do the work. It is so critical and so important, especially now, that all of us, especially those of us who are in the healing space, continue to do our own internal work on a regular practice, and that we continue to go inward and we continue to be with what it is that's coming up, so that we recognize it in a truthful, head-on kind of way, and then we can discern what our next steps are, both within our own selves and or in our client work. And this came up as a message for me both in my dream as well as in some readings that I had recently done, that the work is, especially now, so important to continue. And so when I look back at like, well, what has been going on with me the last couple of days that my energy has drained, and what I realized was like I had been spending so much unusual amount of time on social media. I'm not sure what was drawing me there. These demands and fears of wanting to stay connected and to be seen. And what I noticed was that when I get too far into another source of information that is outside from within myself, that is a very much a draining form of information. And what else is happening? Not only am I taking away attention from my own internal source of knowledge, but I'm also opening up a line so that information, everything from social media is in this cord traveling to me, this parasitic energy, these fears that are out there, this hatred that's going around, this gigantic divide and separation that is all over social media. And that information then travels back to me and finds my dark little shadow spots, and then finds a place there to like breed. And so I'm not surprised that just a couple of days of spending too much time in sources and in places that are not useful for me ended up manifesting in discomfort and disease in my body. And so now that I've looked at that, and now that I've seen it, I have been able to recognize some of the source. I've been able to consciously make some changes, and I am on a healing path right now. Although it may not look like it, but I really am. I'm feeling much better. I have a special brew that I made here from and with my plant allies that are in my pantry. Yes, even in the sea, I have access to some amazing healing herbs. And so I'm on a healing path. I'm feeling much better because one of the key things, as I said, the first step for this is awareness. And so I took the time to kind of like really go in and become aware. So I'm saying all of this now to close with my invitation to you. I have put together an 8-week program, which is all around transforming energy. And it is designed around the 8 energy centers, which are known as the chakras within our body. Or actually, there's more than 8. I'm going to concentrate on 7. I said 8 because I've been working on my 8th a lot. But I'm going to concentrate on 7 chakras within the body. And within our class, we will learn about each of these energy centers in our body through different kinds of practices. And these practices are all designed around the 8 limbs of yoga. So just to dispel a myth right off the bat, yoga is not just about postures and asana. Asana is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. It happens to be the one that became the most popular in our Western world. And so whenever anyone hears the word yoga, they associate it with postures and poses. And that's all fine. However, it is only one form of an entire system of practice. And so my 8-week course is going to touch not only on asana, body part postures, but also all of the other limbs of yoga, which include things like meditation, which include things like turning withdrawal, turning your senses down, and include things like, oh gosh, what are some of the other forms? Ritual for absorption. So some of the rituals and practices that I'll be infusing into the different classes will be some of the practices that I have been trained in, that I have also practiced on myself and used for healing through shamanic teachers. And so they are rooted in very, very, very ancient and indigenous forms of earth-based or plant-based forms of healing. And so many of these different forms of yoga are what we will be practicing week to week. Each week, we will concentrate on one of the energy centers, which correlates to a specific part of your life. And we will go deep into practices there and then continue through the chakra system as we move through and clear any blockages, clear any parasites, and just bring the entire system back to balance so that there is a free flow of energy within the body that is authentic and unique to every individual who partakes. As we are moving through this practice, we are going to be experiencing this healing from the outside in. And that is essentially penetrating the koshas, or the sheaths, ears in which our physical 3D world is built by and with. And there are 5 different sheets, and we will move beginning with the most tangible, the exterior, and going in deeper into the more energetic, the more emotional, and the less tangible, but the more mystical and the more magical forms within you. So the practice will be exactly that. It will be very magical. It is transformational. It is designed to be a deep, focused practice. So there will be 90-minute live group online sessions that I will lead, and they will happen on Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, US, for a period. It's a total of 9 weeks. There are 8 live classes, and then within there, I have 1 bonus recorded class that you could also practice on your own. So it begins on August 4th and runs through the end of September. And I am super excited. And more than anything, I feel absolutely in response to my divine calling, and completely prepared and trained and here to provide this offering as a service, not only to myself in terms of fulfilling my calling, but also as a service to others who are ready to tap into their own like magical, energetic healing capacity. I'm looking at the YouTube here. I don't see any chats. I'm not sure where I would see that. I know I'm still building my subscriber base, so maybe some of you will see this as I post it. That's all that I'm going to do on social media, is actually post. But for the next few days, I'm going to stay off of it. So if you feel called with curiosity, with inquiries, with an interest in gathering for this 8-week program, please respond to me directly with either a text message or an email. Those are kind of like the more basic direct ways to reach me as I detox from EMFs and way too much outside information that I don't need to be handling right now, especially while my system is a bit vulnerable. I want to really kind of take note and just like be sure that I'm only exposing myself to the information. I'm only consuming foods and sounds and relations that are all sort of aligned with my capacity at the moment. That is something that we will talk about during class as well, is learning to recognize the energy that is your beautiful, unique, true self, and how it is that you can really nurture and put all of your priority and attention on that. Because again, that's really what we're here for. We are here to live our best selves and to live our best lives. And when we're not feeling that, then we have the capacity to turn that around once we notice and pay attention. So I would very much like to see you raise your hand and say yes, that you would like to learn how to tap more into your own unique beauty. And by each of us doing that, and each of us taking time to heal ourselves, we in turn are healing the greater part of our world, which is the last point I think that I'll make about our connection with source and service. That's another thing that came up in my dream, was this notion of service and this distinction between service to self and service to others. And I'm hearing that also kind of going around in the spiritual community as the extreme definitions of service to self is just self-serving. I only care about myself and nothing else. And service to others is like, you know, I'm here to basically just be of service to others. But in the extreme, neither of those are useful. They're not useful. And they're not meant to be interpreted in the extreme. Because the only way that we could ever be of service to others is to ensure that we are servicing our own selves first. Like, I cannot be in my best abilities to guide this class if I do not get my energy levels back to the full capacity that I know that I have. And so that is my first priority. I have got to concentrate on what I need to service. It's kind of like I'm going in for service, like as if I'm taking in my truck for service and I need a tune-up. I'm going in to service my energy levels first within my own self, and then I can be of service to others. And that's part of the approach that we'll be taking in this class as well. It's working on your own self first and foremost, and recognizing that. And then once you have that capacity to its fullest and you're able to radiate within your own light, there isn't even a need, and this is something that I've learned from so many of my shamanic teachers as well, there is no need to send, to put out, or to expel energy from within you in order to service others. Rather, what happens is that the radiance of our own true beauty and true uniqueness on its own becomes healing to the collective around us. And as if being in your own highest capacity allows and gives others the permission to recognize that capacity within themselves. And then that capacity gets turned on within them, and it becomes viral and contagious. And so this is the new virus that we can spread, is this virus of radiating self-love and self-acceptance and self-healing. And as we radiate this out into the world around us, we are influencing and being of service to others. I'll leave that as my closing thought for today. I'm sure in the comments I will post where you can find information about me and about my course. And for now, I'm going to turn off the computer, turn back to my own forms of healing and cleansing and regenerating and rejuvenating my body and my energy levels. And I will look to see some of you very soon, starting August 4th. Much love.